Well, I feel very honoured and happy, and it's a fantastic film festival. Seen some really interesting films, and just it's wonderful to see a group of people who love the genre of the fantastic and in film. And the wonderful discussions you can have and do have, and so yeah, it's been wonderful.
Somewhere in the Australian outback, he is waiting.
Something big scared him away.
Like what?
I don't know.
Razorback was my first feature film. I'd basically been doing many music videos in the early 80s, and a producer called me up from Australia, Mulcahy, who'd done The Last Wave with Peter Weir, and he saw some of my videos and said, "Would you like to come out to Australia to do a feature film?" And being a frustrated filmmaker, a frustrated feature filmmaker, having not made one and wanting desperately to make one, I said yes, I'd love to come out and do a feature film. And I remember I said, it was about 10 minutes later, after talking, I said, "What's it about?" And he said, "Oh, it's about a giant killer pig." I went, "Okay, sounds great." Blessed to have Dean Semler as the cinematographer, and came out to Australia. And I sort of had like different eyes and different slant, and I loved the story of an American being thrown into the middle of the outback of Australia, a stranger in a strange land, and so I could make the film a little surreal, a little abstract, and creepy, and agoraphobic. Instead of claustrophobic, it was very agoraphobic. There are some scenes in it which are sort of very inspired by my music video time, and it was just that sensibility I had in my head at the time of both loving films, but also loving ways of telling stories through visuals. And so the subject matter lends itself to that very much.
From another time comes a man of great power.
You talk funny, Nash. Where are you from?
Lots of different places. A warrior of incredible strength.
You've the devil in you.
We've been kinsmen 20 years.
Connor MacLeod was my kinsman. I don't know who you are.
I was sent the script and loved it. We jumped on it. We didn't have anyone to play MacLeod. I met with Sean. I was nervous as hell meeting James Bond.
Because you were born different, men will fear you, try to drive you away.
And he opened up the door, and he's the nicest gentleman. And so he came on board, and I'm flipping through a magazine, and I see a photograph of Christophe Lambert from Greystoke. And I said, "Who's this?" And they said, "I have no idea." And we found out, and he couldn't speak English, French, but he had the perfect look, and he learned English very fast.
I'm Conor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. I was born in 1518 in the village of Glenfinnan on the shores of Loch Shiel. Now I am immortal.
A hero who is about to face his greatest challenge.
You will always be weaker than I.
But it was the most wonderful script, an original story by Greg Wyden and screenplay by Peter Bellwood and Larry Ferguson. A wonderful story, not only with the action and the dynamics of going from present to past and the transitions and all that, but it had a wonderful sense of romance, of tragic romance that drove the film, I think. And then, luckily enough, I was friends with Queen, and they came on board, and we combination with Queen and their marriage with the brilliant Michael Kamen, composer. The marriage of their music just worked so well. They saw some footage of the film. They said, we want to do some songs for the film. They worked with Michael, and I've never seen a collaboration of a rock band and a film composer work as well as it did on that film, where he would take over their song into an orchestration, or they would take his orchestration into a song, and it was a perfect marriage.
In the end, there can be only one.
Well, you have to remember when Razorback and Highlander was shot, there were no cell phones and no computers, and so well, at least no cell phones. So I remember during Highlander, we were up in the hills of Glencoe with all these Scotsmen running around in kilts and fighting, and them up in the forge and whatever, and the producer having this bag of coins running down the mountain to a phone box and putting coins in and making phone calls. I mean, these days there was no email, there were no cell phones. It was basically what I'd call guerrilla filmmaking. And Razorback was very much the same too. It was quite a small crew, very dedicated, hard-working crew. We were blowing dust with Cessna planes, like the opening scene in Razorback. When you're tracking across and the guy walks in and it's all the dust is blowing, the kangaroos there and the Razorback attacks and the place burns down. We landed 3 small aircraft because the land is so flat. We just landed 3 aircraft, turned them around and just blew dust. And it was brutal. And we were blowing dust and smoke all the way through that film, and it was hard. But again, it was just a small crew, and everyone just very dedicated and just got down and got dirty. And the same with Highlander too. A lot of everyone just knuckled down. They loved the idea. They loved the concept. The actors were great. The story was great. We're having fun with the visuals. I said, we're doing a fight in the car park. I said, well, why don't we have the sprinklers come on and have it rain inside the car park and have the lights all flashing, and let's like rock and roll it up a bit, and everyone just got into the spirit. And I think it's very important that people who work on film, everyone feels part of a family, and their creative energy is appreciated and really wanted, and I encourage it very much. There's a vision, and everyone sort of just joins in and helps create that vision of what that film is. So in many respects, it was very similar. Even though totally different countries and totally different landscapes, my God, and totally different temperatures too. Oof. Yeah.
Take a sample of her blood, then get rid of that. These clones are not working. The original Alice is the key. Find her, and we can return to the surface.
I met Paul Anderson. Christopher Lambert was shooting Mortal Kombat, and so I went to visit him on the set of Mortal Kombat, and I met Paul Anderson. and we had a great time together. And then many years later, I was in Australia, and I think I'd either just finished filming on the beach or maybe another Australian film, or I was doing commercials in Australia. But I was in Australia, and I got this phone call saying, "We want you to come and do Resident Evil 3. And I'd seen the first one. I loved the first one. And so I went out there, and I had a meeting, and I read the script. I started doing some storyboards, and so I had like a little book of storyboards of scenes and some sketches of ideas, and I gave them all a little folder. I remember the meeting, and each had their little black folder, and they started writing. I said, no, you can't open them yet. And so I started talking, and then I said, okay, now you can open. And we went through it, and they all were like looking at like what the imagery was going to be, and they're going like, well, but you've got them driving in daylight through Vegas. You've got, it's the sun's out. I said, yeah, sun's out. And they said, our films are always at night. They're dark, they're creepy, they're dark. I said, the daylight can just be as scary, I promise you. And they went, we're very nervous about that. I said, I mean, just practically also, if we're going to go to Vegas and all the electricity is off, Vegas will be dead. It's a neon city. It'll just be blackness. And also it's impossible to film. And I said, there's an old quote that what is scary sometimes is not which goes bump at midnight, but that which whispers at midday. So sometimes the whispering, a whisper at midday can be just as creepy as a bump at night. And so we did a test. We took some zombies out into the Lancaster desert and had them run around in the daylight, backlit and dust, and they saw the test and they went, my God, they look great.
Sorry about this, Stevie.
It really is the end of the world.
What happened to it? Judge must have taken it back.
It was refreshing. It was hot. We shot down Mexicali, which is on the border of the USA and Mexico. And I mean, my God, it was hot. And so there were scenes where we'd have like 200 zombies and all these guys in makeup, and it was like 120 degrees, and you'd see the zombies like doing, 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 just collapsing out of shot, and these medics running and carrying them out. You know, and giving them some saline drink and whatever. I don't know if it was hot.
Shut her down.
Oh.
We fought the infection. We survived the apocalypse. And now we face extinction.
But Mila was so good. She was such a fine actress and such a pleasure to work with. The whole cast, and actually Lyndon, who plays the cowboy character in the show and gets killed in the Eiffel Tower. He's actually in a show. I've been producing and directing a show with my friend Jeff Davis, who created it. A show called Teen Wolf. I don't know if Teen Wolf is showing in Europe, but we're in our like fifth season now. And it's not a remake of the movie. This one's sort of scary and dark, but Lyndon has a main role in that, and it's so nice to work with him again. But that was a real pleasure. And I don't normally do, I try not to do franchises, but the fact that I could take it away from nighttime and away from the blue light and wet, dark night streets, I felt it became a bit more sort of Razorbacky. I could do a little homage to Alfred Hitchcock's Birds with the bird attack. So you know, there were some things in there which like really sort of like got my juices going. You know, there's a great risk in cinema. The film, you know, films cost a lot of money, and so the guarantee of it, you know, making its money back has to be pretty good. So the safer bet is to stick with the bigger franchises, and then so there used to be a range of like a real low budget film, then there was a mid-range budget film, and then the big blockbusters. There's still the big blockbusters and the fantastic, and we all love them, yeah. And we're all there first weekend, packing the cinema, and it's great. And big blockbusters that will be here, that will continue to be here. God bless them. Can't wait to see Ant-Man. Can't wait to see Star Wars. You know, well, I'll be there with the popcorn and and my Coke. And but the mid-range feature film now, the quality of what's been made for television now is really taken that realm, because some of the shows that HBO, Netflix, Amazon, all these different companies now are producing are just extraordinary. And even the network shows, and the networks like Bates Motel. I mean, some of my favorite shows are Bates Motel, Hannibal, and films like that. You know, House of Cards or whatever. But just Sherlock Holmes, just well shot, well written, well acted. So television has taken a real sort of evolutionary change, and I think it sort of felt that it needed to pull its socks up, and it did it very well. And cinema will do the same. Cinema will never die, and it just needs sometimes, you know, you need a little slap and, you know, wake up, okay.
What is your next project?
Well, we have. I'm still on Teen Wolf because we're on our 5th season, only halfway through our 5th season, so I'm on what's called hiatus for a month now. We start reshooting the second half of season 5 in August, back in California. Then I think there's a season 6 that's just been announced. And then there's 3 projects which aren't television that are in the works, but I don't really want to say what they are. But I'm going to make another feature film, but it may be another year because yeah, I actually I do love that big screen. You know, and you know what is great about the cinema experience, which is what you don't get at home, is when you've got an audience of 100, 50, 100, 200 people, however crowded the cinema is, but you have that feeling of passion, of laughter, of screams, of gasps, of silence, of whatever, but you get that feeling of a group having that same emotion, and that is a wonderful feeling. That's one thing that you can only get in cinema, and I love that feeling, and I want to get back And I've been away from cinema for a long time because I've been doing a lot of television with Team Wolf and other TV shows and TV films like Prayers for Bobby and films like that. Yeah. But thank you for inviting me. It's been it's still going. I think 2 more films to see. But thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Is that good? Is that enough for this thing? I used to be an editor. And the funny thing is, when I was editing music videos,
Yeah.
a lot of times we never had sync. So we'd film the band, and I was the editor. I used to edit, and I'd be there at 3 o'clock in the morning, cutting away on film, and I'd be looking for the drummer, and seeing when he hit the cymbal, and I'd listen to the soundtrack, of the cymbal, and I'd try to sync up that cymbal, and then hopefully the singer would be singing that bit of the song, and it was like the weirdest.
With computer, it's easier now.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine on film because it would
Yeah,
be
we
very
had no sync.
Yeah.
We shot at mute.
Well,
It was bizarre.
thank you.
But it was the 80s, you know, hey, times have changed.